Back to AM Live on TSPN. This morning I'm here with Gwen Christeson, my friend. Gwen, good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Yes, and you're here today. You're talking about, you're an attorney in estate. What type of law do you practice?
I practice elder law, but
Okay.
I specialize in estate planning.
Yeah, very good. And you've been in practice for many years now. We were just talking about
Yes,
that.
I've actually been here in Jackson this is my 13th year in Jackson.
Wow.
But I've only been on Main Street for 3 years, so
Okay.
people
Yeah, you have a
still think I'm
beautiful
new.
office across the street here. Yeah, I love your office.
Well, we found an old building on Main Street in foreclosure, and we've been for 3 years renovating it and fixing it up. And I have a beautiful room that fits 15 people for a free seminar.
Yeah, and that's what you're here to talk about today. So tell us more about the seminars and why you do them, and why should someone attend?
Well, before I moved to Main Street, I was speaking in the community at AAUW and Rotary and even at church, and I found that if I was out speaking to them, they had the information they needed and they could ask questions. Not everyone goes home and looks in the phone book or looks in the newspaper, and with estate planning, it's not something you think about every day.
Exactly.
Usually it's when someone has an illness or they're about to go in the hospital or they're taking care of their elder parents. All of a sudden they start thinking about it. But it's something that as soon as you're 18, you can actually sign a legal document that says who you are and where you want your property to go. And so I just found when I was out in the community speaking, people were happy to have that information.
Absolutely.
And so then when I moved to Main Street, I wanted to do something different. And so I transformed my company from a law office to a law center and decided that the best way to do that was to offer these free seminars.
And you've been doing them for quite a while now, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
And we, right at the beginning, we had about 3 a month. And so now we've slowed down. We do one a month.
Okay, good. And so you have 2 coming up. I'm actually going to hold up the little card here so we can zoom in on that. But why don't you tell us about the next 2 coming up?
Well, the next one is Friday at 11 a.m. It's August 21st,
Okay.
so they can put it on their calendar. And it's called Trust Updates and Trust Funding. And this is a great one because there's some people in your audience that have said, wait, I already have an estate plan, I'm covered.
Yeah.
But what happens with wills and trusts is that your circumstances change. So you might have done a document when your kids were young, and now if your kids are over 18, then we have to change that.
Okay.
Or there's been a marriage or a death in the family. What happens here in Amador County is a lot of people retire here. So a lot of what I do is people bring in documents that they signed in the 80s or the 90s or even the early 2000s, and they were living somewhere else. And so an update sometimes just changes their address. And there's simple ways to do that, but sometimes an update is more complicated than that. And so we have to have more of a conversation and more documents. So the seminar is just a great opportunity for people to find out what to look for in their documents and how they can, I tell people to dust off the binder, try to find it.
Yeah, try to find it, yeah, exactly.
Look at it and see, the first thing we do is just make sure everything's signed and legal. We look to see if everything is current. And then the next thing we do is make sure it says what we want it to say.
God, what a huge benefit this is. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think about these even little changes can make a difference in your trust. Yeah,
and circumstances change, especially now. We have just circumstances with whether or not children can manage money, if there's been drug abuse or alcohol abuse. Sometimes it's just the location, and so the oldest child might have moved too far away, or the oldest child is in the military. So there's just all sorts of circumstances, or we have second marriages, or we have an early death. So just all sorts of things happen that we just
life happens.
Yes,
exactly.
And you know that for sure.
Exactly. So we have a little less than a minute left. So what else would you like people to know before you
well,
go today?
This seminar is more of an updated seminar. It's for people who already have existing documents. But I always offer a free consultation for anyone who wants to know about an estate plan. I call it my meet and greet. It's 30 minutes. It's free. I get to meet them and learn about their circumstances and tell them what they need to start thinking about.
That's wonderful, Gwen. You do such good things.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice that people can come for free and get that information. So how could they contact you to get signed up for your seminar?
Well, they can come on Main Street. We're right here next to the radio station,
Okay.
159 Main Street. We also have a website, theestateplanningLawCenter.com.
Okay.
And I also have postcards all over town.
And I'm sorry, do I have to cut you off? We're going to head to a break. We'll be right back.